Moikka moi! It's Riikka Kovasin here. Today I'm doing an art journal spread inspired some abstract canvases I've done lately. Let's get started. I've started this spread a little bit different than I usually do because I cut right-sized pieces of paper right away and I'm mounting them on my journal, so it's white on white. But I've kind of accustomed to do another layer on top of the journal spread, so I'm following it here as well. I'm then adding modeling paste to the page, and this is partly why I added the pages straight in, because I was afraid that the amount of modeling paste versus the untreated area would warp the page so much that it would be hard for me to attach them to the inside of the journal later on. I'm then adding some texture to the modeling paste using a self-made texture comb. I made quite a long one and then realized that it's easier to use it in a shorter stage because the modeling paste I'm using is a little bit dried. I have had it a long time, so it's kind of fighting against me in a way to be textured. I'm then adding another layer of texture paste here and there and just using my palette knife to make some marks on top. I then let the base dry before continuing. Next, I'm then pulling up some acrylic paints and adding a paint layer on top. I'm following kind of the same color scheme as I had in one of my abstract paintings, and first adding some white color to these sun rays of sorts, and then using a mix of two blues to color the rest. I'm letting the paints kind of mix on top of the surface, so there's these gradient flows here and there, but I'm also adding some color blocking here and there, kind of giving it a varying look. When I'm then happy with the blue versions, I'm adding a little touch of yellow here and there. I'm mainly adding the yellow on top of the light areas so it doesn't turn totally green. I'm adding it to 3 places, kind of making this little triangle in there. Lastly, I then add some splashes using a fan brush because I've learned that this is a really easy way to get tiny splashes quickly. After the paints are then dried, I'm adding some stamping on top. This is a text stamp and I'm just adding some visual texture here and there using a black ink. I then add some doodles using Posca paint markers. First I'm adding some circles using this, circle ruler. I'm not sure what the actual English term is. And then some scribbling using just a black marker. And then I'm also adding some mark making, like these little dashes, using a couple of different colors. I'm following kind of the same color scheme I already have going, so it's just blues, blacks, whites, but I also introduced this peach color to give it a little touch of something extra. Now that I have the background done, it's time to add the focal point. I've chosen this paper doll as my center of attention, and I'm adding some butterfly wings to her. I'm first thinking of adding both of the wings to her, but that's just covering too much. And then my idea went that I'm adding the other wing to the other page, kind of balancing things out like that. But in the end, I then decide not to add it there. I'm not wanting her to float on top of the picture plane, so I'm adding a little grounding element using patterned paper. I'm just randomly cutting the piece and then realize that it's way too big, so I tear it apart and spread it across the spread, so it kind of is a continuing element between the two pages. I then use double-sided tape and foam tape to adhere the pieces in place. Now the patterned paper, even though it's kind of echoing the same colors I already have going, it's looking like, well, just a piece of paper. It doesn't incorporate into the page. So I use some crayons to add a little bit of touch of color on top to make it more a part of the page. I then finish the spread with some text strips and treat them with the crayons as well. I use a wet brush because these are watercolor crayons to spread the color so they don't look like straight out of packaging anymore. And after that, the spread is done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was inspiring for you, because you can use your own works or crafts as inspiration, just in another way, because the background here is inspired by a canvas, but I then turned the same kind of pattern and colors into a spread. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I'll see you within a week. Bye!